Are you wondering how much to save for retirement? Most people are. That's the magic question, right? Retirement, how much to save for retirement really equals financial independence, right? Because once you can retire and live off your money for the rest of your life, then you're financially independent, right? In this video, I'm going to share with you the most common method for figuring out how much you need to save for retirement. I'm also going to share with you a little bit about why this can be problematic, and as you may have seen in my other videos here, why we took a little bit different approach to, well, a pretty different approach to retirement after we stumbled into early retirement sort of accidentally around late midlife. So in this video, I'm going to take you over to my computer, but before I do that, let me share with you, I'm Camille Gaines, and here I share what we learned after we stumbled into that early retirement right around the age of 50, and how we went from financial insecurity, right, and uncertainty to financial independence using both traditional investments like stocks and bonds and strategies around that, along with alternative income strategies that are often ignored in most retirement planning. So we're going to back up though and take the more traditional approach in this video for determining how much you need to retire, because that number is typically based on withdrawing 4% of your retirement savings every year to live. Now that would be in addition to Social Security or any other income that you have. And that's kind of the goal for most traditional retirement planning these days, is to be able to do that. And while this isn't the method that we chose or that I particularly advocate in my programs with my clients, what I find is it's a really good place to start, because if you have a really high net worth level, then this might just work for you, and then you don't need to do anything else. You know, if you cover your expenses easily with this 4% retirement withdrawal, and you're very comfortable making some pretty major assumptions about whether or not that money will last for your lifetime, then there's nothing else that you really need to do. What we found is we wanted to sort of peak after 50. We wanted to do more with our lives later in life, and so that kind of got this adventure going with alternative income streams, and it's been a really interesting journey. But not everybody wants that. Some people just want to make those retirement withdrawals. So this is the foundational piece. You can start here, and then once you've done this, what I like to say with my clients is, once you've done this, you know whether or not you need to create additional income streams to help you fund your retirement for what you think will be your lifespan, which, let's face it, we don't know, right? But in the retirement calculator, as you'll see, you do have to enter some data about how long you think you'll live, or else you can't plan at all, right? So this is a great foundation, this retirement planning calculator, because you can see, well, I think that if I could generate another retirement income stream, maybe I could get this down where I'm only withdrawing 2% annually to live, or I'm withdrawing 1% annually to live, or I'm going to defer those retirement withdrawals until I'm 75 versus 65, or you have other options once you get some solid probabilities, as I like to say, around this retirement calculator. So I'll see you over at my computer. Make sure, if you like this information, you subscribe and click the bell so you're notified when I post new videos. I'll see you at my computer. Okay, I've brought you over to a great little retirement withdrawal calculator to help you figure out how much to save for retirement based on your needs. Now we're going to use this calculator and sort of back into some numbers here. So let's just go with, in this top field here, a nice round $1 million. And let's say that you've got that money in your retirement account, and you're planning on following the standard kind of typical retirement plan of withdrawing about 4% a year to live in retirement. And that's $40,000 here. And then let's say that those two fields were really easy. Let me just say that these next two fields are a bit trickier, and that's because we just don't know what these results are going to be. There's no way we can know what the future rate of return is going to be on our investment accounts. There's no way we can know exactly what the inflation rate is. All we can do is look to the past and use estimates. Given that stocks have historically, over very, very long periods of time, had an annualized return of 10%, and that is made up of dividends, capital gains, and compounding of each of those. And given that bonds, have historically low interest rates right now, And given that the first decades of the 2000s had negative annualized returns on stocks, unfortunately, for the decade, and given that we had a strong bull market in the 2010 to 2020 decade, I'm going to say about 5%. And I also am basing this on a blog post I wrote where I did some research to see who some gurus, what they thought would happen, some gurus that I really highly respect, what they think we can expect over the next decade moving forward as far as rate of return in retirement. Now, let's keep in mind that we're not just looking at a decade, we're looking at 2 or 3 decades out, most likely. So I'm going to say 5% right here for all of those reasons I just shared with you. You can put in whatever you want to put in. And then for the expected inflation rate, I'm going to say 4%. That's a little bit high based on historical average of 3. But I am using that for 2 reasons. Number one is that the government provided inflation rate excludes expenses that we incur as consumers in order to live, and they have risen more than the 2% recent average. And because the other reason is because it's inflationary when the government does things like print money, have bailouts, as we've seen first in 2008 from the financial crisis, and then we saw it in 2020 from COVID and the government shutdown. And those moves are inflationary. So it concerns me that inflation could be higher over the next decade, 2 or 3, than the average of 3%. Also remembering that inflation did get as high as over 13% in 1980. So it's not an unusual for inflation to get in the 5, 6, 7, 8% range. So having said all that, let's see this. And this calculator, what's really cool is it automatically updates. So I don't think we even have to hit calculate, but just in case, with the $1 million in retirement savings and withdrawing about $40,000 a year to live, a rate of return after tax of 5% and expected inflation rate of about 4%, that money would last 28 years and 7 months. In other words, you wouldn't run out of that money that you're spending. Now, having said all of this, let me say that you can come in here and you can put in any number you want and play with your numbers. It will inspire you. It will motivate you. It might relieve you, hopefully, so you can see if you have enough money. Let me also point out that I'm not a die-hard traditional retirement plan person. That's simply because after midlife, late midlife, around age 50, we saw that we needed to shift gears and do something different because we didn't like the way our numbers looked here, and we had sort of stumbled into an early retirement. So we ended up creating alternative income streams from real estate, from small business, and from alternative investment strategies that I write about at Retire Certain. And I've got the 4 core steps of this spelled out in my Rise Wealth Plan that you can grab at retirecertain.com if you want to know more about these strategies and how we did this. Make sure you come over here, play with your numbers. It is a great tool to get a handle on where you are right now and how much money you need to save for retirement. Now, hopefully you have a really good feel for whether or not you have saved enough to retire. If you want more information around this and see what other opportunities there are, watch this video next.